Yep.
besides the cool stuff that you're doing inside of NotebookLM, that continues to evolve as well. Like every time I go, like there's a new thing, slides and flashcards
Mhm.
and now the video. Have you guys tested any of those features yet?
I have. I think they're still in their infancy, but I think it's a cool direction that they're going. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
very interesting. I
Yeah,
think for actual, and also this can change even in a month when this is posted because it's changing very quickly.
right.
But currently, I think they're a little style over substance, but they're
Mhm.
still an interesting feature. They're cool to play with. I don't necessarily know if they're the fully most
Yeah.
usable things yet, but they're also continuing to develop everything and push it farther as well, which is cool.
Welcome to AI Today with Lou Bortone, your source for the latest and greatest AI tips, tools, and trends. Get ready to get wicked smart. Here's Lou Bortone.
Hey, it's Lou, and welcome back to AI Today. We're doing a special interview series with some of the coolest and smartest folks I know. So we have the unbeatable mother-son connection of Sue and Matt Guiher. Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh, we're excited. We're excited to talk to you. Always, Lou.
So you guys have been doing a lot of really cool stuff with AI and NotebookLM in particular, which we'll get to. But I'm curious, especially because we're sort of cross generations here, how did you discover AI, or what was the first tool that you kind of discovered when it came to AI?
Oh, I'll toss that to Matt because he would.
I would say, yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably the jump on the 2022, October 2022 that everyone knows ChatGPT releasing to public. That's when we kind of started,
Mhm.
but not really fully dove in, I think, until probably that next spring with
Mhm.
3.6.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
When
think
it
that's when
was
you become a
when it
pro
finally
person.
stopped hallucinating quite as much as it used to.
Yeah, it became less of just a novelty and was
Yeah.
able to do more.
I liked the hallucinations because one time when I asked it to do a bio, it said that I was the president of Warner Brothers Distribution, which would have made me like $5 million a year or whatever that guy makes. So
And now that you're being bought out, you would have been
Yeah.
even
really,
better because there's a bidding war going on between
yeah.
Netflix
Netflix and Paramount.
and
So
Paramount.
ChatGPT did definitely have some alternate universes going on.
Yep.
But I know you guys sort of evolved into a different, I guess you'd call NotebookLM an LLM, right?
Mm.
So tell
Yeah.
us about how you got into that whole area of it.
Well, I'll start and then I'll toss it over to Matt. I think you and a few of our other colleagues were starting to delve into it. And I took a look at it and Matt was in the process of trying to organize all the content within business, all the files within our business and figuring out a good way to do that. And I said, hey, you should take a look at this Notebook LM because it's different. It's different than chat. It's doing some different things. And because I understand tech to an extent, but don't delve deep. I tossed it over to Matt to take advantage of that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what did you think? What was your first impression, Matt, when you got into NotebookLM?
I think it was the tool we were kind of looking for the whole time, just we didn't know the actual terminology of what we were looking for, which we ended up finding out was source grounding,
Ah,
because we had lots of stuff in the past that we were trying to continue working with, and it just wasn't able to work well with ChatGPT. I'd have times where I'd say, I'd upload a file and then say, can you give me this back from it? And then immediately it would make something up. Or, 3 messages later, it's like, what file? I don't know what file you're
yeah,
even talking about.
right.
And we were trying to, yeah, more so exclusively work with what we already had. We didn't want to start from scratch. We weren't fully trying to make new stuff generated. We wanted to keep doing what we were already doing, but make it more efficient, try to take advantage of AI as a tool to make it more efficient, not just do it all for us.
Yeah,
So
and because
that
you
was,
guys have a ton of, well, obviously, Sue's been doing this longer than I have. But you have a ton of courses and content, and I think the great thing about NotebookLM is whatever you put in, that's what you get out. It's not obviously it's not searching outside of what you give it, right?
yep.
Yeah, it's very source grounded. And then
Mhm.
I very vividly remember because he started giving me tools of showing where all the files were and organizing it. And so I started sharing it with other people, and they started going, "Oh, can we do that too?" And I very vividly remember this conversation. It was probably around this time last year, maybe a little bit earlier in the month. And it goes, "I have cracked the code to NotebookLM." Because he took his experience with prompt engineering and being able to not only take the source driven, but be able to create powerhouse of tools to help work better.
So that's sort of like going way beyond just the initial prompt or the initial, like, a lot of times I'll just put in a company website if I'm going to have a meeting with them or something, just to kind of get a quick download. But I know you can go a lot deeper than that. So do you want to talk about some of the tools or use cases that you guys have come up with for NotebookLM?
Sure, I can go into that. So that actually started, so we were doing that same beginning initial working with it, and I was using it more so just to pull out stuff.
Yeah.
Then I was realizing though, like, if it's going through everything, I can also start giving it stuff and be like, pay attention to this. I want this to be how it outputs, basically taking what we already had and turning them into templates. And then I kind of try to take that even farther. Then it's like, all right, but what if we start putting, instead of prompting it directly, what if we put everything we wanted to do in documents and then say, follow that? So kind of instructions inside the sources for it to follow. And that was kind of the premise that we started and then kind of ran with. So we were taking our own expertise, I think, with prompting and then writing out these prompts themselves in instructional ways to upload to NotebookLM.
Yeah.
And we were also
sources.
Yeah, and we were also taking both Matt and my experience with course development and 20
best practices,
best practices of being an entrepreneur for over 25 years.
Right.
Have learned from a lot of mistakes and being able to create these instruction sets within the source documents that were easy to use, worked in NotebookLM and worked within our content to be able to really start making every aspect of our business and then other businesses more. Matt is so much more organized, and his whole thing is about efficiency and systematizing things. And so that helped us do that.
That's cool. And I know I've promoted this, but for the people watching this, can you tell us about some of the kits? I think you still call them kits, right? NotebookLM kits.
Yeah, they're toolkits within the NotebookLM Learning and Mastery Center. So what we found was we first started with toolkits, and then people were really wanting to, as everyone kept trying to steal Matt's brain, Matt's brain. And so what we've tried to do is take the way that Matt thinks and put it within a learning portal. And so membership that people can learn NotebookLM and then also receive the toolkits. And Matt, you can go through just a few of them if you want. There will be, when this in January Matt will finish his last toolkit, which will be 16 total, and there'll be over 60 tools that we've utilized. And Matt, you can talk about a few of them.
Yeah, so we've been doing them. We started with our 4 kind of core ones, which was content creation, creativity, speaker, and sales. So like the aspects that every business kind of has to cover.
Right.
And then our 5th one was our productivity. And that's kind of what we started with as our 5 core ones that we were selling on their own. And then we wanted to take the opportunity, though, of people, if they wanted to, invest with us earlier and get in to start shaping what they needed for us. So we started doing them monthly from there. We've built out different aspects of businesses, both from what we know people need help with, what they've been telling us they need help with. So we've done stuff like funneling, signature system. We've worked on evergreen stuff. We've had writer-specific ones.
Yeah.
We just did a course creator last month. We're continuing. There's a couple others, but yeah.
Yeah. So you can go in and cherry pick or get the whole deal. How is it structured now?
It's structured as a membership. And so, and the reason we've done that when we've worked with a lot of authors is because people will, if they don't know how the tools work together, and we have an easy way to help people because multiple tools help each other, like the brand guide helps with your signature system, which helps with your evergreen. And so, Ian may get access to monthly calls with us and they get access to a community where Matt is in there answering questions. I'm in there sometimes, but he's really in there because he's the one that knows the answers. And so they can learn more about how to use it for themselves. Authors have really been coming to us a lot around, how do I shape my writing? I love the writing Wingman. It takes what you like about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Within how do you say, Matt? You give it guardrails so that
guardrails. So I call it the minimal viable output. So it analyzes what you ask it and tries to only answer that. It doesn't try to do 10 other things and then try to run with like how ChatGPT wants to. Where it's like, all right, we answered this, but maybe you also, and it's like, nope, stop. I'll tell you what else I want. Like, just give me, so I call it the minimal viable output. So it analyzes what you want and just gives you that.
Yeah. And so people have really come in and been able to then learn how to use it effectively. And every once in a while, we'll sell the toolkits on their own. But generally, what we find is it's the support, the community, and the ability to ask and get their questions answered that people really enjoy.
Yeah, because you built up an ecosystem, really.
Yeah, I think it's the thing that gets people to actually use them. It's not just something you buy and then you're on your own, have fun. Where
you and I
have already won.
None of that. The software graveyard.
I know. It's like if I go back and look at AppSumo sometimes, and it was just like, oh my God, no wonder I can't pay for my kid's wedding. The other question I was going to ask is, besides the cool stuff that you're doing inside of NotebookLM, that continues to evolve as well. Like every time I go there, it seems like there's a new thing, slides and flashcards and now the video. Have you guys tested any of those features yet?
I have. I think they're still in their infancy, but I think it's a cool direction that they're going. I think it's very interesting. I think for actual, and also this can change even in a month when this is posted because it's changing very quickly. Right. But currently, I think they're a little style over substance, but they're still an interesting feature. They're cool to play with. I don't necessarily know if they're the fully most usable things yet, but they're also continuing to develop everything and push it farther as well, which is cool.
Yeah, because when they first came out with the audio stuff, and it's like, oh my God, Sue, listen to this. There's two people.
I know. And their intent with NotebookLM is still meant to be for students and that. And interestingly, and Lou, you might not even know this, or maybe I told you. So NotebookLM and large language models, I'm about to jump into my doctorate program in February. And I've decided that I am going to, as long as my committee says it's okay, deep dive into these large language models. And I would love to be able to study NotebookLM, maybe to Google. We'll see. This is a big one around what their focus is for how it's used in education, how students use it, how faculty might use it, and taking a look at the benefits of AI for learning.
Yeah, that's cool because like I said, like it's a lot of it's kind of like, cool parlor tricks. So like, oh, look at this. Now I can make a video. And they're pretty good if you have no other way to do a video, but it's still not quite there. But it is better, like you mentioned about writing. I've been writing stuff on Claude forever, and I have a 50,000 word book I've been working on for a very long time. And Claude's just like, at some point they'll just say like, okay, we're done now. It'll say like, okay, it'll reset at 2 p.m. tomorrow. I'm like, okay, great. So I either run out of space or it just, like Matt was saying, it's off doing the next thing. I'm like, no, I didn't say to do this.
You should try the writing. I mean, you're in the community. You should try the writing Wingman and write with
I have to check it out.
Matt and I we need to focus a little bit more on a process of writing a book around AI.
Cool.
And so that hopefully will be out early next year.
Yeah, cool. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you, I was going to tease you and just say, so do you ever, being a mom and son team, do you ever get into these, go to your room moments? Or?
Do we, Matt? I'll throw that to you.
I don't think so.
You don't get putting time in AI timeout. So.
No. What's really interesting is what Matt has allowed me to do, because I have the corporate consulting, is really separate the business into two divisions. Yeah. And the vision is, and this is why Matt is shaping what the entrepreneur division looks like now, and we're going more technology focused, is Matt will fully own and run the entrepreneur
Cool.
division of Thrive for Success
That's
down the
awesome.
road. Yes.
So, and I do want to ask about that because, again, I've been talking to mostly folks our age. What is your sense? And we mentioned this off air, but you said that in terms of adoption, and you teach at Wharton, so I don't know how old those students are, master's students.
They're master students. So in the regular MBA, the average age is around 29, 27 to 29. And then in the executive MBA, they're in their 30s.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Um,
And you said that, you're getting some pushback, and in your, among your peers, Matt, are people pretty enthusiastic about AI, or are they a little skeptical still?
I think there's a bit of it's everywhere is kind of becoming shoved in their face everywhere. I think there's some parts there is pushback, but I think some of what we like to try to teach people is actually not just having it say it can do everything for you, and more
Yeah.
just teaching how to use it as a tool, which is what it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to replace everything. I think
Yeah.
there's some pushback on the replacing of everything from it, worry about future jobs and stuff like that from it. So I think that's where a lot of the pushback comes from.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, there is still a lot of use, and people could be excited for it if it's still going back to that tool mindset of it, not the,
Replacement.
universe. Yeah.
yeah. And there's two things I hear.
Mhm.
One is energy usage, also the images, not loving AI imaging. And then the other piece from a educator perspective is we're really concerned about critical thinking. We're seeing a decline in critical thinking
Mhm.
already.
Yeah.
And I'm also concerned about, we've talked for years about fake news.
Right.
It's harder and harder to discern what Chad has now put out into the internet.
Yeah.
What is true and what isn't true.
Yeah.
And,
I've
and
probably contributed to that using Sora.
you-
What do you mean I'm not in the Macy's Day Parade? You saw it for your own eyes.
That's right. I did see you in the Macy's Day Parade. I saw your float. Yeah. And so there's a little bit of, concern around that.
Yeah.
But
That, and I think also cheating and people not actually doing their
Mhm.
work. And then,
yeah,
so I think that is more
Yep.
so, yeah, going back to the using as a tool, not using it to do everything. And I think there's so much of it trying to do everything for you. Like you can't even, some pages you get to and immediately saying, "Do you want me to summarize this for you?" It's like,
Right.
I can read, still, or
I
I
know.
think there's a lot of integrations that people are trying to push right away that people are kind of getting a bit sick of, and two, just they don't need it. Put it
Yeah.
off to the side, do something, but they are, yeah.
I have to
Copilot
admit, I've gotten
becoming a
kind of
pain in the
lazy.
neck.
Sometimes I'll just, I'm going to write one email and then say, okay, use this to write 3 more. And I get mad when it doesn't, that doesn't sound, like I get mad.
Yeah.
I fight with ChatGPT and Claude and they fight back. I might as well do this, but the other day I got a response back from Claude and I swear to God, it just said, "Oh, fuck." Oh, I will edit this out for the, I'll give this a PG-13 with. I'm like, oh my God. Claude swore back at me because I swore. And it
That's
basically
funny.
said, it basically said, "I can't help you here." I'm like, okay, fine. I might have, maybe I asked it how can I rob a bank and get away with it or something like that. I won't answer the question.
I'm
But-
surprised it didn't give you an answer because, man,
No.
that's the problem. It is giving young kids bad things.
The therapy, I guess, for ChatGPT, the personal therapy is one of the biggest uses.
I know, which is and dating, it's not good. It's
Yeah.
interesting because one of the things that we're using it with our courses coming out next year is creating courses but creating courses that people actually have to think through and go through,
Mhm.
but then incorporating NotebookLM as a support for them. So building NotebookLM into other platforms. So that'll be interesting to see how
Yeah.
we utilize more than one platform
Right.
together.
I think, yeah.
Yeah,
Some of that also goes into like having goals before using these tools and beforehand, not just do this for me,
Right.
figure that out for me. It's having, and I think that actually leads both. I mean, it's more you're involved in the process and it also gives you better results. But so I think,
Are you getting pushback, Sue, from any of your students? Or are you finding do you have any kind of guidelines at Wharton about how you can or can't use it?
So we've always had guidelines around writing of speeches, and so they need to write their own presentations. We actually have a writing assignment that requires them to use ChatGPT. It's an opt-ed, and they need to utilize it as an assistant to help them edit it. And then they have to reflect upon the usage of it. And it's interesting to see how, they say, and one of my students summarized, I thought the best a year ago, the smartest, dumbest assistant I've ever had. And I've seen AI described as that. And they said the same thing, is that it helped them in one stages, but to get their voice and to be able to get their voice was very frustrating. And it, like to your point, Lou, where you were saying that it would take them off track. Like, no, I want it to be here. It came up with some good examples that they might not have known of. So for research, it saved them a lot of time.
Yeah.
But generally, I mean, in Wharton, they have a proprietary ChatGPT license, but people sometimes use it, but there's been some pushback. There's definitely been pushback, and Stanford has pushback. Wharton has had pushback by students around grading. They're like, we are not allowed to use it to grade.
Yeah.
At all.
I think especially also with the AI detectors, they're using AI to detect AI, which some rating styles, people are like, well, I just spent 3 days on this, and now you're giving me a 0.
Yeah.
Because it says I used AI when I didn't, but then, other people might be using it and then doesn't get, it's just all over the place.
The mess.
It's like the wild, wild west all over again, I think. So
it is.
So if folks were going to start, I guess we'll focus, because there's already so much talk about ChatGPT and Cloud. If people were going to start with NotebookLM, where would you suggest they kind of test it?
I would say, this is what I did as well. I would say go in their example notebooks first. Don't even try it, just to see how it works. You can look through the sources so you can kind of see where it's getting stuff. Also, when you talk to it, it tells you where it's finding information. And I think just messing around with that, it actually has a notebook called Getting Started with NotebookLM or something like that in there. And it also includes all of its own documentation in that notebook. So you can learn more about it from there. That's what I actually did right in the beginning to kind of understand how it worked. Was you can just ask it in plain English and I'll give you back non-technical answers for you to understand how it works before you even jump in with your own stuff.
Yeah, because once they start talking about tokens and limits, and I'm like, I know we're at the casino, so.
And Matt's created some tip guides as well that really help people understand it. He can. Well, I always say to him, explain it to me like I'm a first grader. Explain it to me like I'm a first grader. Because if I can understand it, then most of the people our age can understand it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too, and NotebookLM is good for this because you're only putting your sources in, but I've been using it more for search. And, I used to go to YouTube and find a video. Speaking of YouTube, because it's part of the Google ecosystem and NotebookLM is Google, there's now a NotebookLM, and I may have added this myself, but there's a NotebookLM thing on YouTube so that you can send the video that you're watching directly to NotebookLM to get a further analysis and breakdown and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, they're starting to really cross-pollinate.
Yeah. Like they allow you to pull out of your Google Drive. And Matt, you said now it's going both ways now?
So you can get to, they're the newest, I don't think they have yet, but you can start eventually, maybe by the time this even out, also do Sheets. And then there's also kind of a ecosystem, because you can pull from your Google Drive, and then if you use Gemini, that can save things to your Google Drive.
Wow.
So you can also do that instead of a ChatGPT or something. You could use Gemini into NotebookLM, YouTube, or you can just save your ChatGPT stuff also into Google Drive. So there's just different ways to take advantage of all of them.
Cool. Yeah. So tell us where we can find all this groovy NotebookLM stuff and some of the things that you do. I'll put links in the notes, but generally speaking, what's the easiest way for people to find you guys?
Yeah, thrivingentrepreneur.com is our main one, and then you can do /NotebookLM after that, and it'll do all the information with that.
And then also, if you want to do NotebookLM tips, you can download the tips guide.
So it's thrivingentrepreneur.com, NotebookLM tips.
Both spots. There's two ones. NotebookLM is one, That'll give us the Learning Center, and then NotebookLM tips. You can
Cool.
download the tips guide.
And last question, you can both answer it or combine or whatever, is what are you most excited about coming into 2026 about AI in general?
I'll toss that to you first, Matt.
I'm curious what they do more so with actual writing capabilities, because right now I think a lot of the focus is on image generation and stuff like that has kind of been the focus where they've been going, and I'm curious the other direction, how they are trying to do more on helping us with writing, making that aspect better.
And because I'm going to be researching and learning a lot, because I don't know a lot about large language models and AI in general, I am curious from a learning perspective, the impact that it's having. Is it giving us too much of a cognitive load, or is it improving the way we learn? Is it accelerating learning, or is it actually doing a drag on learning?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because I noticed the other day, you know me, in my 118 tabs, I'm like, oh my God, I have 6 different ChatGPT chats going at once. So thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. And it was really great having you both with different perspectives. So we look forward to checking out, following you and seeing what you come up with in the new year.
Thank you. Thanks, Lou.
Welcome to AI Today with Lou Bortone.